I'm assuming Tarek plans to join us at some point.
He's
He's on his way.
here. He comes. Trying to fix my laptop. It wasn't working so well.
Right on time.
Are we waiting on anyone else?
Um,
Anyone else expecting anyone?
Not right now.
Well, then I'll just start. We've got 2 new members of the council, and Jane's back with us after a brief departure. So for the new members here, just our community working session is just our opportunity as various governmental organizations to sort of come together and report on what each of us are working on and doing. We're not going to take any votes or any action on anything, but just sort of talk about what's going on in the community and how we might be able to partner and work together to accomplish all of our goals. We don't have anything specific on our agenda, so I guess I'd just ask, school, you're up on here first, so what's exciting at the school?
Besides all that new building?
Yeah, other than the new building.
All that new building.
Yeah, so the building project is going very well. I can happily say it's on budget, and I would even say maybe it might be a little ahead of schedule. So it's looking very, very good that we'll actually get in there. The contract date on turning that over to us is August 13th, and I think that there's a very good likelihood that we will actually be able to occupy that before the 13th of August. So building project is moving. The next thing that the board is discussing as far as building needs is an indoor air quality project at the elementary school. So that is the next piece that is up as soon as this other project is finished. Right now that project was partially designed prior to the start of the current project. The plan then was to see where the current project comes in with budget, to see what or how we would move forward with the indoor air quality project. So the plan right now is to, this summer, keep finalizing the design of that with the idea that hopefully we would be able to get that out for bid fall and winter. And then next summer would be the actual construction period, which that would be a significant impact as far as how users experience, because the elementary school during the summer really, for the most part, it has kids in it every day. There really isn't a summer break at the elementary school. It is always being used. And so realistically, we're probably looking at, for one summer, that building would have to be shut down. And so we'd have to move summer programming over to the secondary building. So that'll definitely have some impact. The board is continuing to talk about some additional upgrades with activity complexes out at the secondary site. It was brought to my attention that we have a sewer main issue underneath our football field. So that's something that we'll tackle with that as well. And I know that the city has an interest in getting that cleared up. So that's certainly on the list. We're trying to keep developing partnerships. This year was our first year with rolling out a partnership with Cold Spring Granite. I always say Cold Spring Granite. I know their name's Cold Spring, but whenever I say Cold Spring, people think I'm talking about the city office or something. So we have a manufacturing engineering series of courses that students, it's really targeted at juniors and seniors, and they can take courses on site at Cold Spring. And it's partnered with St. Cloud Tech and Community College. Their instructors are on site, and it's a combination of classroom work, but then they also get to go down and do some actual engineering projects that are real life projects that Cold Spring is tackling and working with on their actual production line and stuff. So it's a pretty neat opportunity. This was our first year. COVID didn't make it any easier to pull off, but we were able to pull off the first year. We are partnering with Ricori and Eden Valley Watkins, or excuse me, Ricori and Kimball are the 2 other districts that are accessing that program. And next year, I think, last time I talked with Mr. Orline, I think we have about a half dozen kids or so that are interested. So I guess the moral of it is the school is continuing to look at those external partners. So if there are any leads or interests, or if you think there's any connection out there in our community that there potentially might be some level of interest in partnering with the school to provide kids a learning opportunity, but also connected to real life, by all means pass those along, because we are more than interested in trying to explore and expand those opportunities. And then the last one is the district is preliminarily talking about operating referendum. So our current operating referendum authority expires with taxes collected in calendar year 2023. And so the district will have, you really have either the option of doing something this fall with updating that operating referendum, or they would have to do something in calendar year 2022 in order to be able to have stable funding from that operating referendum. So the board talked about it, the work session in April, about a week ago, and it'll be a topic of conversation again in May, with the idea that I think by June and at the latest July, the board would be making some determination as far as the direction that they're looking at going with that. So that conversation will be ongoing. That's kind of what we have going on at the school. Questions at all for the school?
With the PAC Center being done, you won't need to lease like Shopko for wrestling or Cronus for gymnastics anymore?
Yep, so the school did not lease Shopko at all for wrestling. That was the wrestling club that did that. There was no school lease in place for that. I believe the wrestling club has some interest in doing something like that, at least in the summer. But I would suspect once that addition is done and the construction's done, you're absolutely right. Gymnastics, their home is going to be the middle school gym. They will be able to leave their equipment up roughly about 10 months out of the year. There'll be about a 2-month window where they're going to take it down. But that middle school gym will become gymnastics home. And then, yes, we will not be needing to lease Coronas Ministries. The only off-site lease that we will have will be with the ice arena in order to offer the hockey program. But otherwise, everything else will be brought back on campus.
Because that was the intent, so.
Absolutely. Yep.
With the air project for the elementary school, is that going to be all bonded and paid for that way, or can you use your COVID monies for that?
So I think, and that's a little bit what's fluid with it. I think there's a variety of options. COVID money is certainly going to play a role in that. I think that absolutely will be where a large chunk of that's going to come from. We also have some opportunity with our long-term facility maintenance dollars. There's a variety of ways that we can go about funding that project. And I think really once the design is done and we have a real solid budget number, then I think we can move that conversation into what the financing options are and what the possibilities that are out there.
So then with the budget number and the declining enrollment, are you expecting that to pick up at all as students start coming away from sort of the hybrid online learning and back into the building, or are we planning for the long haul?
Yeah, I mean, I am really hopeful that students start returning. I mean, time's going to tell. I don't have a crystal ball. It certainly has impacted enrollment around the state. But the fact of the matter is, once we do get students returning, and I personally believe they will return, that elementary school is full. We don't have spare classrooms. We don't have really spare space. So I would say, yeah, that building will be used and maximized to its fullest. I really wish somebody could give me the guidance as far as when students are going to return and what that looks like. But I definitely don't have that crystal ball.
I think one positive indicator is in our recent history, we've been positive when it's come to open enrollment. So to me, that's saying our students haven't necessarily left for other districts. Other districts have been at a higher rate coming to our district than our students are leaving. So it's more of an indication of circumstances. like the data would show. So I'm hopeful too. I mean,
Anybody else have any other questions?
Just some good news. I did hear of a family with 9 kids that bought a home in town here last month.
Wow.
Hopefully they'll be coming to the school.
Do they need help moving? I can give you my cell phone number.
You don't hear that too often anymore.
No, you don't.
Not large families like that.
All right.
I wonder where they found a house big enough.
Right. Township.
They got a house big enough.
Township,
Yeah.
a lot less boring or exciting than the school has been going through. So there's not a lot of activities that is going on in the township besides, we just went through our road inspection, so we're looking at some new pavements on some of the roads and crack fills and so on and so forth. So just the boring, general run-of-the-mill stuff that's going on with that. Other than that, yeah, there's not much of anything else that big projects that we're doing. The ice arena was a couple years ago with the roof and stuff like that, and we're still working with the youth and the school and that stuff with that venture. For other than that, we just had a meeting the other day and Paul, I think, was on it too, with the trail, and that I think is going to be a big thing as we move forward for the township that is coming up. How we're going to connect the other couple of trails that are around us, is going to be a challenge, especially with this nice, wonderful corridor over here with the 55 and the river and also the railroad. So a lot of dollars in just that small little area we could really spend really quickly. So, but I think for working with the school, I know the school has some, projects also for safe schools. What does that look like, for adding some more funds to it. But we just met for about an hour and a half the other day, and we are starting the ball rolling now with some consultant that had worked with us prior with our other existing trails. So he's going to be doing some research on some grants that could potentially be out there that we would be able to have. But, all in all, it looks promising for the initiatives. But again, I think that the big thing is going to be that river and the bridge and the railroad. That's going to be expensive if we have to go that direction. So time will tell with that, So other than that, not a lot else is going on with the township at this point in time, which is good. Knock on wood.
So one of the things, since you're talking about the trails, that I've been meaning to approach the township and the school about, and so I kind of got put on the back burner, is putting up flashing crosswalk signs on Highway 55 there, and then where the trail crosses on Old 23 as well. I think various people have mentioned it a couple of times, and there's probably some interest in the three of us partnering together and paying for those things, seeing if we can get them put up. So I think that's a conversation we should continue to have going forward. One of the things I'll talk about in a little bit is MnDOT on Highway 55. So I'd rather work the state for money first before we dip into our own local pockets, but we'll see what happens.
Yes, because that is, as you know, is a challenge.
Yeah.
Especially at the school there. It's
On your safe crosswalks, also the crosswalk going to Vets Drive or McDonald's.
Yeah.
I think we need.
I think there's several intersections I think that we should really look at with some sort of flashing lights or something like that. I think for the most part, most people do yield for the most part.
No,
But
it's pretty poor.
yeah, well, I mean,
Pretty poor.
again,
Kids will stand there, and
yeah,
when I drove bus, I would stop the bus and hope nobody hit me from behind and.
yeah.
But
And to add to that, with the Willow Acres, instead of using the old, or 55-23 underpass for pedestrians from Willow Acres to get to the better, or the town proper, we're looking at, the trail board was looking at getting a bridge across the Crow River to hook up with Veterans bridge, whatever, in Veterans Drive right over by the airport, to cross that over to the Opportunity Park or whatever, you know, that we're looking for.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, that does. And luckily, Steve Peterson was able to jump in and help out just to get this moving a lot faster than trying to go at the government's pace, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And we did, and you will probably see something coming back to your board regarding amending that trail committee. We did recommend to add one more person, Steve, just because of his willingness to go above and beyond outside of the district here, of pushing the envelope. So, and I think he has some connections and stuff like that, and I think that's the type of board that I think it's well worth to have more people that can help facilitate that project, because, you know, they're going to look at that as well, how much community involvement you're going to have and support from local, you know, the DNR and MnDOT and all those other people are going to look at what support you have already, and the more support we have, I think the better chances we have of getting other funds. So, yes.
You had your annual meeting.
Yep. No, well, we did, but we didn't.
Oh,
So we broadcasted it, nobody showed up, so we are going to wait until some of the people that live down south for the winter come back, so I would assume that we'll probably have another annual meeting coming up here. We have to have it before October, I believe, or August, I think. So that'll be coming soon. You have something that needs to be put on there?
well, I believe Paul Bugby was going to talk about possibly sales tax on
Yes, that is on the
to
agenda.
create money for tourism.
Yep, so that is, I believe it came through the board here, or it was on the docket to be
We're
reviewed.
waiting for the township to
Yes,
approve,
and-
and then, right.
Yeah, because we can't approve any of those ordinance changes, only until the annual meeting, so that's why we are waiting on it. We can't just
Yep.
do it at a regular board meeting, we have to wait till the annual meeting for them, for the.
I just think it would be, they do it all over, and I
Yep.
would think it would be a good thing.
Yep, well, I think we all do agree too, it's just a matter with the timing of that annual meeting, because that's where it needs to be addressed.
People don't know that we have, is as much potential here as Walker, Brainerd.
Yep,
We don't promote it like we should.
yep.
Anything? Are you here for Central Care too?
I was wondering, is he on duty today?
Well, no, all I can just share, I'm not a spokesman for Centricare, as you know, I'm just an employee, but they are working vigorously on the next phase of the addition or the remodel for the organization, and they are in the process of the long-term care settlement with the parties that be with the long-term care stuff, so that's about all I can share at this point in time.
Thank you. Turning then to the city, we have, our committees are just starting to get really a little bit more active for the year, so we're going to start picking up in some activity over the next few months. We haven't done a whole lot yet this year. After our meeting here tonight, we're going to have a working session where we're going to discuss the future of the home park, along with the liquor store and some ideas with potentially moving or how we're going to handle that. I'll tell you exactly what I wrote in this week's press is that nothing's been decided with moving the mobile home park yet. Everything's sort of just being considered and contemplated. There are some options out there, but we haven't chosen any. We haven't limited ourselves to anything. So everything's being considered and discussed. Otherwise, really what we have going on, we're not planning any big street projects this year. That's primarily due to budget constraints, and we finished up our capital improvement plan on those, so we're in pretty good shape there. We are looking at expanding our irrigation system out to the land that we bought last year, so that if we get a rainy summer like we had in 2019, we shouldn't be struggling to figure out what we're going to do with all of our wastewater come September and October. After the Well, I hope it was the most recent accident on 55 in Lake, otherwise there might be another one. Oh, Paul says no. Okay, I did contact MnDOT, and I said we've got to do something about this intersection along with 23 or Old 23 and Highway 55, because these just aren't working. And I was advised that they're going to take a look at some of the data and then let us know. There was a trail cam put up by the intersection for a couple of days. I've seen that that's now gone. So I don't know what the status is. I haven't heard anything. My plan is to follow up with them later this week and say, what are we doing? Where are we at? And then we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't have a ton of hope giving it's MnDOT, but maybe. And I will also talk to them about the crosswalk signs as well to see what, if anything, they're willing to do there. And then lastly, our EDAP board met this morning to discuss a number of things. One of them is the issue of childcare in town and how we have insufficient access to childcare. I haven't seen the minutes, but my understanding, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but it was essentially decided that we're going to form an ad hoc group to do some further study on the issue of childcare, meet with Representative Damath, who is pushing through some childcare bills at the House right now. We're trying to do that, and hope that we can come to some sort of a comprehensive plan on expanding access to childcare in town.
That's correct.
That's it.
All right. Otherwise, ask us again in a few months and we'll probably have some more updates, but as of right now with the new council, we're just getting this ball rolling. Does anybody else have anything to add or any questions for us? Anything you're dying to know about, anything we haven't talked about?
Do you have an update on the library, just out of curiosity? Because the district obviously wants to be partner in conversations and such.
Yeah, we don't. So Tarek and I met with a number of interested persons about 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Just sort of informally to talk about the future of the library and how that's going to look. Essentially where that left off is Great River is going to do an updated needs study, get us an updated needs study. We did one last year when we did the ad hoc library committee, but with COVID and everything that they've experienced with COVID, they've realized that a lot of what they thought they needed, they don't, or that they need more of things they didn't think. So they're going to update that and get back to us, I would think, soon.
Yeah, within a month.
Yeah, so we should be hearing within the next couple of weeks on that, and then we can continue that conversation once we get it and have a better idea of what they need and what the library is looking for. That's the best non-answer I can give you. Okay.
I do have just a question because next Monday we all have our board meeting and I know that there's talk about this wonderful trailer park moving and all that wonderful stuff. Is that a city-owned park?
It is not.
It is not. So it's really not a city-driven thing for trying to create space for another trailer park.
Yeah, I mean, it came about as, we need more industrial space, and then the condition of the trailers over there are not, the housing study showed that they were pretty run down. So the idea kind of came about that if the city developed a park, and then the city would have the option of running it or selling it to the current developer or somebody else, which is probably the more likely scenario. But in so doing could put covenants on the land regarding the condition of trailers, how things are moved in and out, things of that nature, to sort of maintain a quality that isn't there now.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, anybody that, from anywhere, you start talking about trailer parks and stuff like that, we just have the experience of what we have here, but I know that there's other towns that have trailer parks within their communities, and they are nice. They are well kept and stuff like that. So it's just a matter of what emphasis you're putting as a community to put different armholes on, because people in that area to have updated trailers or other conditions of what's in that community, for other things that are outside of the trailer and so on and so forth. So So that's, I was assuming that's probably what you guys were thinking about as well, but I just wanted to, like I said, you get people start talking, and then are they putting it, gonna be putting it close to the township borders, and then what does the township look like, and who's the neighbors that are in the township that have access or neighborhoods to that? So I know that there's been talks about that, so I'm just kind of curious of where this started and how it might be perceived.
There's been a lot of talk, and a lot of what's been said as far as what us as the council know comes as news to all of us on the council.
Yes.
So, yeah, some of the things on Facebook, I think the last thing I read was that a decision had been made or something like that, and we also, that's news on this, and we haven't decided anything. It's barely been decided. Yeah, it's come up in a couple of committee meetings as far as what options might look like. I know the thing that I've said the last time I had any discussion on it, and I'll say it again and again and again, is the city's not going to be responsible for somebody being homeless because of this project. And that's the biggest unanswered question, is what resources are available to help these residents move. Because if the city's just going to develop land and then a park owner's going to move it from underneath them, I'm not going to have anybody kicked out of the house because we needed more industrial land.
I think that was kind of where, I think you were saying that, where I was thinking of what resources, I know it's not the city's obligation, right? But if people are being displaced and potentially don't have resources to go to a new place, what is our obligation? What are we going to do for finding resources or whatever that might look like? And I'm assuming there's conversations and things happening to make sure that people aren't just displaced and kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, that's,
I think the state has a program for that too, if that's where we end up going.
Relocation grant.
They'll get relocation money or,
Okay, that's great.
yeah, I think my understanding is that it's a little up in the air as far as how much is out there for that relocation money. And that's where I think we're trying to get some more information. And I just haven't had the answer to that yet. So. But yeah, it's out there. Legally speaking, if it's privately owned, the city has no obligation, but that doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do. So that's why we're looking at it and figuring it out.
Is there any update on Safe Route to School planning study? I thought I glanced at the Painesville Press a couple weeks ago, and I thought there was an article to put in there.
You know anything about that? I haven't heard any formal updates. Ron would probably be able to tell you everything you need to know about it. I'm sorry.
Later this spring. I thought it wasn't, but I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that's what Ron said.
Was this study done already, or just starting off the conversation?
I thought I saw that they were funded in order to get the working group together and to start the process.
Read something too about that.
I believe the article was stating that we had got, I think we had gotten the grant or something like that.
Yeah.
Or to start the process to see,
Yeah,
to apply for the grant.
Yep.
So,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question, or what are we talking about?
Just where we are on the safe routes to school, I think.
Okay.
Where we're,
Yeah, I think I read that too, that we qualified for the grant.
Ron, we're just hoping
There
you
he
can
is.
give us an update on the Safe Roads to School grant application and all.
There really isn't a lot to update at this point. I think everybody's well aware that we did receive the grant. And I think in June is when the state actually will get contacted again, and we will put the committee together. And there'll be committee members, obviously, most of them from the school, but some from the city. And I guess I'm not even sure who else will be involved in it. Matt, I'm assuming that's the way you're following it too?
yeah, I was just curious what that timeline was gonna be.
I know, I'm pretty sure the letter said June they'd start getting the committee together.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
I guess the only other thing that I have is not really anything new or anything that we're working on, but just an update. We did finally, after much back and forth with the distributor or the company, get the police body cams up and running. So those are now active. I just saw you wearing it, Chief, that's why it jogged in my mind. So, I mean, that came about, we suspected it's going to happen with all the changes in the law, so we just wanted to get on the forefront of it. So those are now out there and move forward.
So how do I hook it up? What's that? Also, how do I hook it up?
I don't see the light on, so we're okay.
No red light, you're good.
So I guess the question is, you know, typically, historically, we've met in about April and October of every year. You know, if we want to regroup again in October, we can certainly set that date now, or send out some potential dates closer to October when we all have a better grasp of our schedules.
Yeah, I'd wait.
Usually we just wait until closer and just making sure that we want to do that, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I should also share, look for, there will be some sort of open house, it's not determined yet, so people will be able to tour the school, probably looking towards the end of August. So we hope that you come and tour and ask questions, and it's pretty cool story.
And I've heard rave reviews about the coffee shop going in.
They've outdone themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of students have built a website for the coffee shop, and they are taking online orders, and yeah, it's fairly remarkable. I was actually talking with Elise Hagan, who's really been the faculty member that's really been behind this. I was talking with her this afternoon, and I asked her, I said, so did, you know, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, did you ever think you'd be involved in a coffee shop at school? And she just shook her head. She said, no, I really didn't. But yeah, it's amazing what they're coming up with, and just to see the thought process that they go through, and yeah, it's remarkable to watch. So I've not heard an unhappy customer yet, so it sounds like it's going well.
Get to see it with the community ed board. We did not get samples, which was a little disappointing, but it looks really great here, so I can't wait to see what the kids do with it.
All right. That's all I have then. With all that, we'll see you all in October, if we don't see each other before then.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.